Welcome to Between Sundays. I'm Tyler, and I could never hate the way that you chew, friend of the pod. Today, we're getting poetic, all about covenant faithfulness in our new sermon series, First Comes Love. But before we hold tightly to what is good, now that they've waxed eloquent about agape love, let's glue and weld ourselves to our favorite co-hosts, Maron and Barry. Good day, guys.
That was so close.
I know.
For good
almost
glue.
Good glue. I almost
heard
made
you
it.
do that before. You gargled your intro.
I just took a drink of water before I started that, and it was like kind of caught in my throat. And by the time I got to the G, it was I was lost.
What number episode are we on?
I don't know. It's got to be close to like
We got
700.
We got to start numbering.
Honestly,
300.
I love that there are
300.
There are
It's got to be close to 15,000 at this point.
There's still new things. I've never heard you gargle the intro before.
I'm sorry. I just took a drink. Remember like the first couple of pods Maron we ever did. Maron was like, I can hear you like your mouth noises.
You made a lot of
You
mouth
did make a lot of. You did make a lot of mouth noises. And in your defense, you learned very quickly to stop doing that.
Yeah.
And even to this day,
Called
you're
me
very.
out.
I can see when you're like, all right, close my mouth to swallow. It's great.
A lot of mouth noises early on. Guys, we got some family business. Actually, we're back to normal pod. How about that?
Yeah.
Yeah, we are.
Hey.
We had a great Summerfest with a bunch of cool guests coming in, and we expected them to be like summery pods, but some of them got pretty like deep and long.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you, I missed being able to talk about the sermons big time. Like that is definitely a
So we're
highlight of
back
my
today.
week. I'm glad we're back.
Yeah, we're back. But before we dig in, we got some family business. Of course, we're going to dive deeper into Barry's week 1 sermon about covenant faithfulness and agape love a little later, and also play a pod-specific Newlywed game.
Which we just learned about, Maron and I, like moments ago.
Yeah.
We didn't know
Surprise.
this was happening.
We're going to be also next week. We're talking to the leaders of our marriage retreat, David and Betsy Bell. They're coming in, so we're going to talk to them about marriage stuff and what they have in store for the marriage retreat happening August 22nd and 23rd. If you want to sign up for the marriage retreat, you can do that at gracechurch.us/marriage retreat. But I look forward to our conversation with them. David Bell was our only ever 2-part pod guest.
Really?
Yeah. He was sitting in here so long that we had to make it 2-part.
I didn't know what you meant.
The first time he came in here was early on.
Yeah.
It was like 4th episode or something, and we talked about the Enneagram.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
And he sat in. We were in the dungeon when we recorded in the dungeon.
Yes, with the metal table.
Yeah, and he took too long.
Okay.
Or we took too long.
Yeah,
we
kept
kept talking.
We went
kept
through
asking
every
him
number,
questions.
I think. I don't know what we did, but it was a 2-part pod. So who knows what's in store next week? Yeah. But first, guys, what is new? What's going on?
You start, Maron.
Yeah.
I have a lot, I guess.
Finally.
Finally.
Took us 8 seasons.
It's just that my life is just so dull, typically. There's not much. No, this weekend, we had a family reunion down in Memphis. The Memphis region, Millington, Tennessee. I've never been to that part of the country. That's where my grandma grew up. My grandma that I talk about from time to time, she's turning 100 in a month. And she made the trip from Chicago to her hometown of Millington, Tennessee.
Goals.
Absolutely.
I want to be that vibrant when I'm 100.
Goals. Absolutely. Yeah. Like, so she got up there and she quoted Psalm 97. That's her favorite psalm. Like all of the goals, but probably the biggest goal for me, we of course had a family picnic, as one does at a family reunion. There was over 100 people easily. Like it was a huge family picnic, and there were folding chairs there. There were folding chairs there.
Okay.
But when I arrived, my grandma was sitting at a picnic table, the kind where you have to like swing your legs over.
Step deep into
and
that.
it doesn't have a back.
Yeah.
You know, I'm like, Grandma, would you like a folding chair? You're sitting at a picnic table in your jeans.
She's like, I wouldn't be this hardy if I sat in folding chairs all the time.
When I watched her get up from that picnic table and swing her legs over that bench like it was
unbelievable.
Nothing. That's the
She's
real
gonna be
goals right there.
100 years old.
100. Yes.
Man. And she's like fresh as the day she was born.
She would not say that. yeah, no. I mean, obviously she's moving much slower these days, but she's still quick as a whip. And it was kind of neat. One of the features of the family reunion, we had a more banquet style dinner on Saturday night, and there were pictures scattered all over every table. And I would pick up the pictures and show Grandma, and still just as sharp as a tack, she could recognize family members even from, I don't know, 60, 70, 80 years ago when they were much, much younger looking in the photo, and she could tell you who's who and who belongs to what family. So the family reunion was, and I guess they're all different, but this one was my grandmother. I think she came from, I want to say 12 siblings. I know there were a lot of them. Well, I should back up. Her mother came from a family with a lot of siblings.
Sure.
This is going to get very confusing. Her mother had a bunch of brothers, but 3 sisters.
Yeah.
And so this was a family reunion centered around these matriarchs, the 4 total sisters, daughters of Sophronia Hall. So my grandmother is named after Sophronia Hall. She's
so this is
named
like
after her grandmother.
This is like your grandma and her cousins' families.
Yes.
So that's a lot of families and people at this point.
Yeah, there were 4 different family lines, essentially, all kind of converging on their shared hometown of Millington.
Amazing.
Yeah,
That's
because
wild.
it all stems from this one woman buried in 1906. So we saw her graveside, which was amazing. That would be my great-great-grandmother, my kid's great-great-great-grandmother, buried in the little church cemetery of the church where my grandmother grew up.
Oh,
this
my
church
goodness.
has been around since, I want to say 1860s, like the 1860s. It's still in operation.
Yeah.
It was mind-boggling. It was just mind-boggling.
So your grandma was born 100 years ago.
Yeah.
So I just looked up like what was happening in 1925.
Yeah, the
All right.
Roaring 20s.
Yeah, so like Mount Rushmore didn't even exist.
Yep. I know that she's probably going to feel real strongly about that one. Yeah. I mean, it was the 20s. It was the prelude to the Great Depression. Everybody
The Great
was
Gatsby
recovering.
was written.
She said her father owned a car, but that they mostly got around by wagon.
Wow. You said the church started in like the 1860s. Is this like post Civil War, during Civil War? Do you know? Because like I think Civil War was 1860 something, ended in like 65 or 8 or something like that. I'm wondering if it's like post Civil War. Did their community move north from the South? Were they always living in Chicago? I'm fascinated. Do you know?
No, they weren't always living in Chicago. So again, Grandma's family hails from, my grandfather's family hails from Atlanta. So that's
I'm sorry. This wasn't in Chicago. This little church is
Millington.
in, gotcha.
Tennessee.
Okay. Tennessee.
Yes. So Grandma came to Chicago.
Yeah.
The siblings kind of scattered. Some went to Texas, some went to California. A good handful of them did go to Chicago, and that's why my grandma went to Chicago. She already had a brother that was living in Chicago, came up through the Great Migration looking for jobs.
Right.
And so Grandma came and moved in with him and started her life in
That's-
Chicago, and here we are. We're
that's so
Chicagoans
cool.
because of Grandma and her bravery.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that.
It was awesome. I was so excited to bring my kids with me. They're grown-ups now, but I needed them to see where they came from. My kids had never seen a cotton field until this weekend.
Oh.
The family reunion began Friday night, like with a meet and greet, but then Saturday morning we made 2 different visits to 2 separate cemeteries just to pay our respects to our ancestors. And both of them were kind of, one was attached to a church or nearest to a church, but still in the middle of a soybean field. And the other was in the middle of a cotton field.
Wow.
Just, that's where my grandma comes from. So I had never even been down to her ancestral land. We got to see the actual land that her parents owned. Just, it's really, really cool. It's still in the family.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. It
That's
was very,
amazing.
very, 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 very cool.
That's so
but,
cool.
Quite a quick trip we drove. So I'm a little loopy. We drove in last night from a really fun but really exhausting just a couple of days on the go.
Yeah.
But it was great.
the first airplane had a movie shown on it 100 years ago.
What?
Yeah, no Mount Rushmore, but an airplane was showing a movie on it.
What?
That's awesome. That is a wonderful fun fact. I really love that fun fact.
No. That one sounds suspect.
I mean, it probably didn't have sound, right?
Yeah.
It's probably just a moving picture.
Yeah. Wow, that sounds... so I have never been to a family reunion. I don't know. I mean, either I'm not invited or
your family just doesn't do stuff like that. Yeah, Jed's family doesn't do it in an official capacity.
Yeah.
I think it's obviously it's very big in Black culture among African Americans to do something like this. I've been to a handful of family reunions, but no, Jed's family doesn't kind of call it a family reunion.
Yeah.
You know, like we get together every once in a while in Pennsylvania. That's where his dad is from. And it feels like a family reunion, but we don't we don't get T-shirts.
Yeah, you were wearing hot pink
T-shirts.
T-shirts.
Yeah, it was kind of cool because of each sister that was being celebrated in her family line. There was a different colored T-shirt associated with each sister. So the Bells were blue, the Spencers were green, the Craigs were yellow, and we were the Ellises. So we were hot pink for some reason.
There were a lot of pinks.
Yes, the Ellis family is huge. My grandmother's mother had 12 kids.
Wow. So I don't know. It's probably, yeah, you're right. It's probably a cultural thing, but like, what do you have to do to have a family reunion? Like,
well, I wasn't on the committee, so the first thing you have to do is have a committee.
I think the first thing you have to do is have enough family members in enough either proximity relationally or physically to actually warrant a reunion. The only reunion I've been to I wasn't even really directly connected because it was like my uncle or my grandfather's brother's family.
Yeah.
And so like technically we're like you can get there. We went to it once, but I didn't know anybody there, nor did I have any intention of continuing to know anybody there.
Yeah.
But like I couldn't do a family reunion with any of my other sides of the family because they're scattered all across the country. Go back a few generations and we're pretty much immigrants from Europe. So it's like there's not a lot of it's not a lot of family and we don't have big families. Like I have one sister, my mom has one brother, my dad has one sister, and it goes back like that. So we didn't. Yeah, it's like you have to go back to my great grandfather before you get to like 9 brothers and sisters.
Where we come from, a farming family, and so you had as many kids as you could because many hands make light work.
That's right.
One of my cousins, older cousin, but he drove from California to Memphis to be part of this.
Awesome.
People came from all over the country to be part of this. I wish more had come. So my father had 5 girls. I'm one of 5. And I was the only one there. Another sister's flight got canceled, but I wished more of my sisters had come. So it was a huge gathering, but it could have been even bigger if everyone who's actually connected to the family had been able to come for whatever reason.
I just picture like having a million different versions of the conversation of like, so who are you connected to?
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's just a bunch of that.
So the back of the T-shirt had a picture of the 4 sisters and then kind of like, I don't know, it almost looked like a speech bubble with the names of all the children of that sister. So you could see like, okay, I am related to the Craig side of the family, and my grandmother was Oma Craig, and she's right there on the back of the T-shirt. Or Nellie Mae, she was the oldest of Mary Hall's kids, and that was my grandmother's oldest sister, Nellie Mae. She's right there on the T-shirt. So what we had was a lot of walking billboards, and we'd say, turn around, turn around.
Yeah, turn around. Where do you belong?
And then we're just pointing to the backs of, people's T-shirts, kind of showing where we belong. For me, it was a little easier because grandma was there.
Yeah.
So I could actually point to my 99-year-old grandmother and say, I am her descendant.
And is Jed just like standing in the corner being like, I'm with her?
Do you know Jed at all?
Well, it'd be
He probably left having been honorarily entered into the family. He's on the back of a T-shirt next to.
Oh my
Well, I guess
goodness.
technically he's married to you, but
yeah, he's on the back of the T-shirt.
This is not his first rodeo. No, he's given all the hugs, and everybody knows Jed, and on the Ellis side at least. But there were a lot of family members there that I'd never met before, and I kept telling my kids, if I would have passed any number of these people in an airport, I would never know we were kinfolk. So it's so cool
Sure,
to be able to come together and do this. And we trade information and we connect on social media now. And just the family just got all that much tighter by putting in the effort, by having a committee and putting in the effort to do something like this.
That's awesome.
That's cool. Barry, what's new with you?
Oh, I'll keep it short. I'm just starting to really get into, I know, thank you. Just starting to really get into turkey travel mode. The country,
I was like,
not
Thanksgiving's still like 4 months away.
I am 26 days away from leading the trip.
How's everything going with that?
Good. I mean, we've got all the logistics sorted. We think we'll find out when we get there how our plans work out. But I'm really getting excited. And now I'm like,
are you getting a lot of people being like, "Are you sure you should go over there right now?"
We had a little bit when all the Iran bombing stuff was going on, but not since then. Everybody seems to be pretty fine with it. Yeah, I mean, I'm keeping an eye on things for sure because I'm not about to take. It's one thing to like go by yourself to a country, and it's totally something else to bring to like take 15 other people.
To take
Maron's son. But like we're kind of dialing in. I bought some new boots, which I hate buying things, but you
gotta have new boots.
I had to get like they're like.
Does my son need boots?
No. I needed hiking shoes.
He probably has a packing list.
I have boots that would be fine, but I wanted hiking shoes that are like still really, really sturdy, walking for miles, but also like not as
oh well then he absolutely needs
insane and tall as like a full on camping boot.
He has hiking boots.
You can bring them. But it's going to be hot.
But
it's going to be hot.
Hiking shoes is what I'm hearing.
No. He doesn't need them. I wore basically hiking boots last time I was there, and that's totally fine.
That's it. We're going shopping.
Anyway, so like that kind of thing. I'm just I'm like honing my packing list and getting ready to go, and I'm pumped. It's going to be great. So, what about you? What's new?
Everybody in my house right now is pretty depressed, except me, because it's school. School's back.
Oh yeah.
So.
Are they started?
They start on this Friday.
Oh.
So it's the last week of summer, which is like pending doom is how Lauren feels. I think next week everybody will feel different. It's like everybody's back in the rhythm or whatever. But this week it's like it's all coming to an end. And my idea was shot down furiously, which was like, we should practice.
Yes.
We should practice. We should spend a couple days practicing, getting up early.
Yes.
Whatever.
Or at least going to bed early.
Going to bed early.
My mom always did that. She's tried to get us back on a schedule
like
about a week or
set
two
our
out.
clothes out, make sure we know what we're doing in the mornings. That was shot down immediately. It's like, no, we're going wall to wall summer.
Squeezing every last bit of orange juice out of this orange.
So school starts on Friday.
Do you have any like last of summer, last hurrah kind of things planned?
Lauren probably does.
Yeah.
Like they went, I don't know. They're doing something different every day. I feel like we've been celebrating Milo's birthday for the last 2.5 weeks. So it's just like something new is happening every day.
Mm-hmm.
I think, that's it. I think we've got our like big school kickoff tomorrow and we're off to the races with school. But we both hate like making lunches. Like Lauren makes lunches, and so all she's thinking about is summer's coming to an end, and things that I hate are about to re-enter my life. So it's back, but we've got Lane in kindergarten, Milo in 2nd grade, and Lou and Lauren will be home every day now together. So things are changing, but it's good. Yeah. All right, we got a game.
Okay.
We know you love games, Maron.
I don't love games.
Famously does not love them. Yeah.
Yesterday in service, we did a Newlywed game. So if you were at church, you probably saw it, unless you were in the lobby getting your coffee or whatever, and you came in late. So we did a Newlywed game where married couples from various walks of life were asked a question, and then they answered questions about their spouses to see like how well they know each other. So we're going to do a version of that now. Producer Liz has curated a list of questions and answers from our 3 spouses.
This is so wild. I can't get over the fact that I don't know about this.
Yeah, so Liz went around at church, or you were out of town.
I was driving home with my family.
Yeah, so she was texting your kids being like, hey, we need Jed to get on camera and answer these questions. So it's like, who are they? What are their preferences? What are their favorite? I don't even know the questions, really.
Yeah, newlywed stuff.
So we're going to hear, here's how this is going to work.
Time out. Amy started the game, because I did watch the service.
Yeah.
She started the game by asking how long each contestant had been married.
We should definitely level set. Yeah.
Okay. So
we're the newlyweds. We've been married for 8 years. 8.5.
And Lauren and I have been married. I'm like, yeah, and we're married 12 years this year.
Okay, and Jed and I will be married 23 years in October.
Amazing. And yet we're all three pretty much the same age.
That's right.
So amazing.
Yeah,
We've
so
lived
3 different phases of life.
Very different lives.
So Liz gave me the questions. I think this is the way that this is going to go. I've been like wondering how this is going to go all day. So I've been communicating back and forth with Liz. I think what we're going to do is we're going to hear, if you're watching on YouTube, you're going to see the clip. So Liz has put a video clip together. You're going to hear Liz ask the question. She's going to pause the video. We are going to answer what we think our spouse's answer is, and then she's going to play the rest of the video.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think so. You're so good at explaining game rules.
All right, let's try this out. So are we doing 2 questions? All right, so this is question number 1. We're going to pause after she asks the question.
If you had $1,000 to spend in a day, what would you spend it on? And it has to be something fun.
All right, so now we have to guess what our spouses would spend $1,000 on. That would be fun.
Oh my!
So are we going to just do both questions?
No, the same question.
Spouse?
So Lauren's going to go first. So I'm going to answer what I think Lauren will say. You'll say what you think Liv said, and then you'll say what you think Jed said. I will say, she did this at church. Liz did this yesterday at church, and Lauren immediately walked away from that. And when I saw her in the lobby, she was like, "You're not going to get any of these right."
Okay.
So I'll give my best shot. $1,000. I think Lauren would spend it on maybe like a girls' trip to the beach. I don't know. Yeah, a girls' trip to the beach. What do you guys say? Because these goes back to back to back, right? All right. So girls' trip to the beach for Lauren.
This is hard because depending on how Liv interprets the question, if she thinks of it as in a purely like personal thing, like what would I spend $1,000 on for me, her, it would be like probably a really expensive like makeup palette that she hasn't treated herself to, or some clothing or something like that. But again, if she's thinking others, it could be something like she's spending it on a girl's trip or some big fancy getaway or a massage or something like that. So it's hard to say.
All right, so
but I'll go with like I'll say fancy makeup palette is in there somewhere.
Okay.
Because ever since she's been a little girl, she's always loved like looking at her makeup palettes, and that's a major joy in her life.
Yeah. All right.
I think he would choose vacation with me.
Wow.
Oh, that's Agape love right there.
If I'm wrong, we will have words.
Yeah. All right, let's see what they say. Lauren's first.
I'd probably go walk around Target for the whole day by myself.
I love her so much.
Shoes.
Shoes?
Yeah.
So, a massage.
Yeah!
And some makeup.
Oh my goodness!
And I don't know, and then I'd probably save some of it. Yeah, I'd probably spend like half of it and save half of it.
Okay.
So Lauren would walk around Target?
Shoes.
Jed said shoes.
$1,000 worth of shoes.
This is the best part. We could stop the podcast right now for the day because you said Jed would spend $1,000 on you and him going on vacation, and he said shoes.
Shoes. Well,
one word answer.
We will have words. We're gonna have words. Shoes.
Oh my gosh. Okay,
I do want
that
some
was
credit
good.
though.
Yeah, man, you
I
nailed
did
it.
mention makeup,
and you mentioned massage.
So I'll take credit.
I wasn't
for
even
that.
close. Yeah.
I wasn't even close.
Yeah, you were way
Here's
off.
the thing. We talk about
You
our
included
finances
yourself.
together. We talk about these finances.
But now you know what he really wants in his heart of hearts.
Never says he wants to do.
shoes.
Just go away. But what he really wants is shoes.
Yeah,
That's what he really wants.
If that's what he could spend $1,000 on.
That would make his heart sing, Maron.
Wait. Okay. All right. No.
All right, so I think we got one more, right? All right, so yeah, let's hear the question.
All right, what would your theme song be when you walk into a room?
What would your theme song be?
Yeah, what would your theme song be when you walk into a room?
Oh, see. All right, I don't know all the names of the Taylor Swift songs.
Yeah,
but I know
tough.
it's got to be a Taylor Swift
Gotta
song.
be.
I just don't know the names of them. So I would like at least partial credit if whatever she answers is a Taylor Swift song, okay? Please.
Oh wow. Okay.
It's partial credit.
Any Taylor Swift
Yeah,
song?
Yes.
You got to
Is
pick a
that too-
name.
But I don't know them. I don't
You
know
had
them.
to pick one Taylor Swift song, the one that goes. You don't need to know the name, but like the one that goes.
Oh, that's easy.
That one.
You know the
okay.
one.
I think Lauren would say, Lover from Taylor Swift.
Oh, both of your wives. Taylor
Yeah,
Swift.
yeah.
They're both
That's all
Swifties.
Actually, she'd probably say something like by Wilco or something, but I bet it's the safest bet. The best bet is Lover by Taylor Swift.
Okay, I'm gonna go with The Joker by Steve Miller Band. It's a callback to an earlier time in Jed's life, but I'm probably wrong.
All right, so Olivia's first.
Okay. Hang on, let me think about this.
All right.
So it's probably gonna be the Wicked Witch of the West theme.
Got to be, yeah. She's
She's
alphabet.
Awesome.
Yes, that's what it is.
She's the Wicked Witch
Oh, yeah.
in the musical.
I'm the man, yes I am, and I can't help but love
Okay,
you so.
that's Chicago. That makes sense.
Cruel Summer by Taylor Swift.
You got the
I
closest.
almost said Cruel Summer, but I was like, what does that have to do with her life? But yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cruel Summer by Taylor Swift. Yeah.
I've never ever heard Jed reference that song before.
Not only did he reference it, he sang
He
it.
sang it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He sang it.
amazing. Well, and the
That-
thing with Liv is, under normal circumstances, that would not be the kind of song that she would want played. But right now, getting ready to be the Wicked Witch in Grace's production, that is
Is
her
it
theme
consuming?
song. Yeah.
Is she like memorizing lines already?
She's looking at the lines. She's listening to the songs. I guess she doesn't have any songs, but she's like,
Yeah.
she's reading a book about the history of the Wizard of Oz. She's reading Wicked. Like she's getting into it, and I'm proud of her. She's going to be amazing.
Man, that was fun.
That was fun. I would love to do that.
I want to watch
I'm
just
just
like
mad.
a
Games
version of
always make
just
me
Maron and
mad.
Jed.
I think
Mad now.
this series might be the perfect opportunity to give our spouses a mini spin-off pod, just one episode of them
Whoa.
with some questions ahead of time that you've given them. I think that would be so cool.
That would
Let
be
them just
something.
talk. Let
Oh,
them
man.
see what happens.
Talk about how much they want shoes. Shoes.
He thought about it too. There was a good 6 Mississippi before he gave an answer.
$1,000 worth of shoes.
Yeah.
He's
Man.
not a sneakerhead.
That's so good.
I can't.
All right. We're doing this because we started a new sermon series
Right.
called First Comes Love,
Yes.
week 1. And it's a 3-week series, primarily focused on the relationship of marriage.
Mm-hmm.
And but it's kind of for everybody because you picked a passage in scripture that's not specifically targeting married couples, but we're focusing the conversation around marriages, right?
Yes. Yeah. Absolutely.
So before we dive into the actual sermon, kind of share why we're doing this series.
Well, I did kind of allude to this towards the end of my message, but we as pastors have, over the last 5 years or so, received a lot of calls from people whose marriages are basically falling apart or who are in major crisis. And we do our very best to care for them, to love them well through the process. But what has become, I would say, almost a pattern, and you guys can speak into this if you agree, but like it's almost a pattern that often when we get the calls, when we're brought into these situations, which is an honor for us, it really genuinely is. We're privileged that we get to be there for people in these dark times. But the pattern is that often so much of the damage has already been done that it almost feels inevitable. Like there's almost nothing that can be done.
Yeah.
It's almost like we are the Hail Mary at the end of the losing battle or something. And so I think our heart, we talked about this and felt like, okay, we need to move forward with some things to help the marriages at Grace Church be healthier. And a sermon series was an obvious first step with that. And so, we basically, as pastors, were like, we need to go there. We need to talk about this.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the genesis of this series.
Cool.
That's where it came from.
So to kick off the series, you focus primarily on Romans 12, verse 9
through 12. Yeah.
And kind of share what the big idea of the entry to the series was all about.
So this first message, this one was really all about kind of setting up some fundamental concepts and ideas that are going to come back multiple times through the rest of this series. But basically, picking up on sort of the encouragement that Paul is giving to the divided church in Rome. He's calling them to love one another with Christlike love. And I took that and applied that to marriages and kind of brought out the idea that the unique word that he's using for love is agape, which is distinct from all the other Greek words that he could have used for love, and there's a reason for that. And I talk about that, and then I talked about kind of the Old Testament concept of covenant faithfulness, which is kind of agape love in action in relationships, but especially in marriages. And essentially, my big idea was like, we need to take this seriously. This is an eternal bond which requires Christ-like love to do well, and like it's time to take that seriously. Or like now it is right now.
Yeah.
So. I don't know if that captures it, but that's basically that. We're just kind of setting up those key terms and concepts.
Yeah. And like we said, this passage from Romans 12 is not specifically about marriage.
Sure.
To be clear, the Bible does have passages about marriage.
And we've preached from them many times.
So what led you to this specific passage that is about love, but it's not specific to marriage? So what in a marriage series led you to a passage to kind of apply to marriages, but isn't specific to it?
Two things. One, the passage itself, as I was just looking at all the possible passages that we could talk about for this series, I was struck by just like Paul's encouragement is so, he just gives so much good advice in such a short period of time. And it's just boom, 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 idea after idea. And so much of it, I realized these are ideas that married couples need to hear. Things like, don't what does he say in the Greek? He's like, don't lag in your zeal. And he's like, don't stop praying. Be love one another with this self-giving love and outdo one another in showing honor. Like it's a high call. And I think just simply taking all those pieces of advice and applying them to marriages, I was like, well, that's good. That's good. That's good. That's good. So it seemed like, this would give us a lot of fertile ground to be able to bear fruit. The other reason is because having been a single person till I was 34, I know what it's like sitting in a room where they're talking about marriage and you basically disappear. If you're a single person, like it feels like you don't matter because marriage is not just in church culture, but in our suburban culture is kind of like the be all end all. And it's like the expectation, this is what normal looks like. And if you're not married, you're not normal. It's kind of how it feels. And so I wanted to have an easier path to including people who were not married in some of these topics. And the way that I was able to do that is picking a passage that isn't like husbands do this and wives do this. Like I wanted to go straight into a passage that was broader. So I don't know.
I'm just going to read Romans 12 just so friends of the pod, if you haven't seen or watched the sermon yet, you kind of know the context of what we're talking about. So Romans 12 verses 9 through 12 says, don't just pretend to love others. Really love them. Hate what is wrong. Hold tightly to what is good. Love each other with genuine affection and take delight in honoring each other. Never be lazy, but work hard and serve the Lord enthusiastically. Rejoice in our confident hope. Be patient in trouble and keep on praying. So when I was rereading this passage this morning, preparing for the show, I was like, oh yeah, this feels like super communal. Like this is like, This is what we all should be doing
Yeah, exactly.
in spiritual community. And I thought, what an incredible take. Like, it got me wondering if, I think you said something towards the end, like, what if we were known for agape love?
Yeah.
So it got me wondering, like, if we viewed our marriages and relationships as like communal acts of discipleship versus like these private journeys between two people, like what would that would change everything.
Yeah.
It would change the fact that we're as pastors and church family, we're the last ones to hear when things go wrong.
Right.
Yeah. So if the goal is to grow closer to one another, and change, you said this is solid marriages help push the mission, help contribute to the mission of the
it's
church.
an opportunity to show that there's another way to live.
But if we treated marriages like it was like a communal discipleship act, help me like paint that picture for me. What would that do for our spiritual community and our relationships if we were like, this is a communal discipleship thing versus something that we just kind of keep private to ourselves until it goes really bad?
Sure.
You know, because Lauren and I don't talk about our marriage to our friends. Like, we're not like, here's what's going really great in our marriage, or here's what's not, until it's just not.
Right.
And so, it incorporating the Romans passage and applying it to marriage was like, oh wow, this is like, he's talking in a communal capacity. Yeah. And so what is that? How does that strike you guys? Like marriage being in a communal discipleship act?
Well, I think it kind of, there's two benefits to looking at it. If we were to start living our marriages out loud, to quote Maron from her Summerfest message, like the idea of marriages being a part of a communal discipleship, grid, I think it does two things. One, when marriages are healthy and strong, like the video that we saw of Shelby's parents.
That was awesome.
The Wilsons.
The Wilson. I mean, we know Shelby's on staff. Shelby's on staff, and so that's how I've first gotten to know them.
Shelby's
but
parents.
That's anyway. But the Wilsons, like when things are good, it's iron sharpening iron. It can their love overflows, and I imagine there were a lot of, like, for example, husbands in the room hearing her talk about what Blake does, and it's like, man, I don't do that. I don't like serve my wife like that, but I could. And so it's like, it can help. It's a rising tide that lifts all boats. It's like if it's public, if our marriages are lived out loud, it can help shape our community to be more loving and to be more self-giving. In the other direction, if our marriages are communal and not individual and not super private, it also opens the door for others to step in to be a part of healing brokenness and calling us out when we need to be called out. And to be honest, that's one of the things that has become very normal to us as pastors, is realizing like, oh, this horrible brokenness has been going on, behind the scenes for so many years, and we had no idea. Yeah. And so that would be the other, again, this is a little bit idealistic because we live in a hyper individualistic society, but I think, it goes both ways. Healthy marriages can help heal and help inspire, and community can help walk with and heal those that are broken if they're woven into that broader communal fabric.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm thinking of a couple of real life examples of friends of mine, women I'm friends with, that thankfully aren't waiting for everything to hit the fan before they talk to me about what's going on in their lives and their marriages, and they trust me enough to be able to A, pray for them, and B, weigh in on things, give advice when advice is wanted, even advice that might be, hey, I think maybe you were in the wrong when you said that, challenging. I can challenge these friends, and vice versa when we talk about our marriages with each other. So when I think about this idea of what if we looked at marriage as a communal aspect of discipleship, I would ask, who are you friends with? Who are your friends? What kind of friends do you have?
Yeah.
Are they people that you can talk about spiritual matters with, can talk about your marriage and how things are going? Are they people that you trust? All those things. Who are your friends? And if you don't have friends that you can talk to about those kinds of things, then we got to get you some friends that you can talk with about personal things.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's what small groups are for. And again, it's this whole ecosystem of what it means to be a church family and for everybody to be flourishing and growing.
And historically, marriages were a lot more communal than they are now. Obviously, there was a lot less privacy. Like if you lived in like a city in the 1600s, like everybody knew your business. You're all in each other's business. But even the way that they approach things like weddings, I mean, you had to post your banns, BANNS. We don't do that in our faith tradition, but that was a normal thing where they would put it in newspapers where they would say, these people are pledged to be married at this point, and that draws the whole community in so that they have an opportunity. Well, in that case, often it was like, hey, they shouldn't, that person's married to another family, like that kind of thing. But it gives everybody an opportunity to be aware of a marriage and be a part of it. And then like even the traditions that have completely fallen off, like speak now or forever hold your peace,
right.
like that came out of an opportunity for the whole community to be a part of and have an investment in.
Yeah, I was thinking about that too.
It's like, yeah, we think of it in terms of like, stop the wedding. It's like Hallmark movie style, but it's like realistically what it is it's, okay, this community, you are now on the hook to support this couple because you didn't bring any concerns. So now it's our time to support this couple moving forward. It's just different. And that a lot of that stuff has faded as we become so individualistic.
It's interesting because I was just, at that little country church. It's a missionary Baptist church that my grandma grew up in. And again, it's well over 100 years old by this point, by a few decades. But one of the elements of the service yesterday morning, and I've seen this done in other Black churches in particular, they announced whoever's birthday it was, or they celebrate the birthday month, But then there's also an anniversary committee, and they announced so-and-so and so-and-so have been married for so many years, and everybody applauded, and it was so great. And then she closed with, and there will be a brief meeting of the anniversary committee immediately following service.
Oh my goodness.
So there's a whole, branch of the church that's sole responsibility is celebrating marriages.
Wow. That's awesome. Yeah, we don't do that.
We need an anniversary committee.
It's not a bad idea. At the very least, to have some awareness of like when people at Grace are hitting those huge milestones. 30 years, 40 years, 50 years married, like we should be celebrating that. 23 years, the big one. Yeah. It's fascinating.
So we'll talk more about agape love in a second, I think, but I imagine that this series is not just like whether you're single or married or divorced, like it's not going to be comfortable almost for anyone.
Yeah.
Whether you're married and you're like, man, I'm watching Mr. Wilson and I'm like, I don't do it. I don't rub feet.
Right. I felt the same way. I
don't do that.
That's not my scene. I don't.
Or whatever. Like, I feel like there's going to be moments of real uncomfortability for everyone.
Sure.
So there's going to be people that hear this and feel bad. Like they walked out of church maybe feeling bad. And one of the questions I had while I was listening to the sermon the first time is like, you went through the different types of love. So like Philadelphia, Eros, right? Storge, and porneo.
Porneo, which is like Eros, the negative, purely negative
and
version
then
of Eros.
Agape, which is like Christlike
Yeah.
love. So one of the questions I had was like, knowing the landscape of 2025 where more than half of marriages end,
right?
Does agape love always look like staying? I mean, we talked about, you mentioned a lot of us pastors had encounters with marriages falling apart. And in my experience, most of these, not all of them, but most of these stories are Christian marriages. So at one point, I imagine we were all at a wedding and people were saying,
Till death do us part.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so like for all kinds of reasons, marriages are drifting, potentially ending, or have ended.
Yeah.
Is there a scenario where agape love and justice in marriage are not simpatico with one another? Duolingo.
You're telling me Duolingo taught you simpatico?
Simpatico.
But they don't fit. Like agape love and like the need for boundaries or the need for justice in my marriage, like they're not working together. So if those things aren't in relation to one another, how do we reconcile agape love with like maybe the need to not stay?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Or does agape love always mean staying?
Yeah, this opens up a huge can of worms to talk about, but it's an important can of worms. I believe that, there are times when a marriage probably needs to end because it isn't even a marriage. Like there are times when, we're talking about covenant faithfulness as this kind of eternal ideal for this marriage covenant, but like, what do you do when the marriage never even really involved covenant to begin with? If it was just kind of like the thing you do, and now we're 10 years in and we're miserable, like there's just so many bigger questions to ask and bigger things to work through. But there are times, and we've talked about this before, if there are situations of abuse or situations of true neglect or harm, like, I think distance, at the very least, temporary distance, is absolutely the best thing to do. And agape love does not mean allowing another person to continue taking advantage of you and harming you. That's not what agape is. It's and I'm going to get into this a little bit at some point. I got to figure out when to talk about this. But agape love, just because it's self-giving love and self-serving love, or serving others love, it does not mean then I guess I'm just a doormat and I have no more rights or whatever. There
Boundaries.
are limits to it and boundaries that need to be set.
Yeah.
And the Bible, Paul in 1 Corinthians 7, he gives his own opinion. He says, this is my opinion. This isn't from Jesus. This is my opinion. But he basically says there are times when it isn't like if he uses an example of like, if you're married to an unbeliever and that unbeliever can't, like they leave you, then so be it. Like, he doesn't like say, you got to fight it out. No, he's like, no, that can happen. It's okay. But it's better if you stay because you never know, you might actually lead to their salvation by being in this relationship. So, that's like an example of one of the apostles attempting in his context to be, to work alongside this really challenging reality that the ideal does not always match up with the lived reality.
Not to mention, sometimes you don't have the luxury of staying even if you want to.
Yeah.
In some of the situations that we are aware of, someone is running away from the marriage as fast as they can, and the spouse is left kind of holding the bag and wishing that the marriage would remain intact, but they don't have control over the spouse who no longer desires to be in this marriage. And so in that case, the loving thing would be to let them go because you can't keep them anyhow.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So as you said, it's a very complex thing. We're talking about lots of different scenarios involving lots of different elements, and it is never, ever cut and dry. It's never simple. It's never simple.
No.
I was having a conversation with somebody today, and they were kind of like, I feel like I have for years had agape love toward my spouse, but I'm not getting that in return. And so there's been suffering because of that. And they were, talking about that in their experience. And I was thinking about, from all I've learned about what I think Paul would say, what he thought and believed, I feel like that's the story. Isn't that the story of Jesus? Like, congratulations, you're sharing in the sufferings of Christ. Like he has agape love, and the story of the Bible is that wasn't returned. And I don't believe that means we put up with abuse or neglect at all. But it does mean that we have the power and are empowered love beyond what we think is possible, even at the thought of suffering through something like that.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. There are several ingredients that need to happen. I mean, to reach this ideal, both parties of the couple need to be committed to covenant faithfulness and agape love. And like, you need to be able to identify and actually talk about this. Like, I don't know, whoever you were talking to before, I would be interested to know, okay, you feel like you've been offering agape love and they haven't responded. Have you talked about that with them? Because I feel like 9 times out of 10, people just don't go there and don't have those conversations because for all we know, their spouse, they're the ones feeling like, I've been giving all this agape love and you never responded. Like, that probably needs to come out into the open for there to be any kind of healing in that situation. And so that's why conversations are just as important as action, because we're two people and we can't read each other's minds, and you have to meet each other.
I also thought it was interesting. I do think it's interesting that like, all right, I'm going to learn what it means to have a great marriage, and I'm going to go to the Bible and I'm going to find all these examples of people that have great marriages, and I'm going to just follow what they did. And then you get to the Bible, you're like, is there even one? Right. Is there even one marriage in the Bible that you're like, that is the picture of what a husband should look like and what a wife should look like? Because the Bible's full of like dysfunction.
Marriages. Yeah.
And so why is that? because it's like, God's got opinions on how marriages should look, and it's this covenant faithfulness, and other than God's relationship to his people, there's not really like an example, or is there, in the Bible that we're like, that's how you should act. Men, that's how you should act to your wife. Women, that's how you should act to your husband.
There are not many examples of very healthy couples in the Bible that have any sort of detail into their lives, because most of the couples that I can think of that have their like lives actually narrated are mostly in the Old Testament, and it's dysfunction upon dysfunction. And then in the New Testament, there are a few couples that are mentioned, like I'm thinking of Priscilla and Aquila.
Yeah.
Sure.
But we don't know anything about their actual biography or their relationship. Yeah. We just know that they traveled and worked together really well, and they were effective in their ministry as apostles. So, it's tricky. it's really tricky. And I think that's one of the things we so often miss when we think about the Bible. I mean, you look at the Torah, the first 5 books of the Bible, and it's filled with a bunch of laws that are supposed to, teach the Israelites how to live. It's also full of a bunch of stories, and in most of the stories, the Israelites are getting it wrong. Like the literal Torah, that God's instruction to his people involves stories of his people getting it wrong. It's almost like that's baked in. It's like the assumption that humans are gonna miss the point. And so the biblical authors are trying to illustrate what missing the point looks like as they invite us to try to get to grasp the point. But I actually tried to do the exercise. I was like, all right, let me find if there's an example so I could bring it to the podcast to be like, this is the model.
Who'd you find?
No one.
Ruth and Boaz.
But there's not like Isaac and Rebecca are about as close as you can get to a patriarch and his wife who don't have a lot of drama or dysfunction.
Jacob and Rachel?
But it doesn't go into
the
like
whole Leah thing, but that wasn't really Jacob's fault.
Yeah, I don't know.
When you're talking though about like agape and eternal covenant, there's not really like, it doesn't spell that out anywhere in anyone's life.
Not to mention, you are coming from a Western sensibility. We have to really unpack
that's true.
what the nature of marriage, of what covenant marriage was in the time of Christ or in the time of the Old Testament. We are coming from a completely different worldview when we think of the word love, when we think of the purpose of a marriage and what a marriage was for.
Right.
Yeah, that's a good point, because I was having another conversation about this, and the concept of agape, I feel like is very easy to misunderstand, and has been or could be used to exploit or harm people. Sure. Because, for example, through this conversation, we're like, all right, what is agape love? It's Christlike love. Okay, what does that mean in a marriage? And then all of a sudden we're talking about what it means to submit.
Or sacrifice.
Or sacrifice.
Lay yourself down
Yes.
for the other.
Yes. And so we're talking about like mutual submission or whatever. And so it made me wonder, like, can we talk about what agape is not? Because, for example, agape is not always saying yes to your spouse.
Right.
Right? Or is it?
Are you asking for a friend?
No, because it's kind of
starting
hard
to sound very personal.
It's kind of, well, yeah, it's kind of hard to define, like, line by line, what is agape in my marriage? Is it doing the dishes or is it like tasks, or is it a way of living, a way of life? And then I was like, okay, that's kind of hard to like imagine that. So what it does it mean that I always just say yes because I am self-sacrificing? So I'm always saying yes to my spouse? I don't think so.
Right.
But so what is it not?
Right. Well, okay. First of all, we are getting into this in message 2. That's what message 2 is all about. Like how exactly
okay,
then
good.
do we actually do this? So it's not going to answer all the questions in 30 minutes, but I'm going to try to start to like set some of that up. But I don't think it means just saying yes all the time. Again, it's not being a doormat.
Yeah.
But the phrase that I'll introduce next Sunday is that marriage is a race to the bottom. At least Christlike marriages are a race to the bottom, which means you're, as Paul says, trying to outdo one another in showing honor. In other words, like I'm gonna be even more honoring to you than you are to me.
Yep.
Oh yeah? Well, no, I'm gonna be more honoring to you than you are to me. And it's like it's a race. And
I think it's so important.
It's so important, but and it only works if both parts of the couple are trying this. But the idea is like I'm looking for ways to honor you, to serve you, to meet your needs, to lift you up.
Yeah.
And you're doing the same thing to me.
That's right.
Like that's
and
like,
I trust that you're going to do it.
And I trust that. I'm going to say this. I'm giving away my whole message, but one of my points is like sometimes you got to be the one to start the race. Like,
that's right.
You don't just wait. Well, the moment they show me they're ready,
right. That was going to be my next question. Because I've heard that. It's like, as soon as they start, I'll start.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So that's one of my points.
I'll do agape if they start doing agape, but I'm not doing agape if they don't start agape.
Right. But one of the key ingredients, and I don't know, I'm running out of I'm already running out of time for my message next week, but one of the key ingredients in this whole dance of outdoing one another in honor is the concept of grace, because the fact is we are not Jesus. Like never. I'm not, you're not, none of us are Jesus. We have Christ's Spirit within us, shaping us and guiding us. And ideally, as time goes on, we're becoming more like him, but none of us are like him. We are going to intentionally or unintentionally hurt our spouse. We are going to cause pain and friction, and we're going to be selfish. Like that's human. That's what it means to be human. And yet we have grace, that which is a part of self-giving love. We're offering grace to the other and trusting that they'll offer grace to us, and even asking for grace in our weakness and things like that. So it's not a clean and tidy, like, here's how you do it. Here's your 3-step process to having a perfect marriage. But this is the posture. As I always use that word posture, because like this is the way that you hold yourself that leads to a healthy marriage.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
What do you think this has to do with like our own individual faith in God? Like, I was listening to you preach about these types of love and how agape is basically how Jesus loves me. But what should I realistically expect in my marriage or relationship if I'm not investing in my own faith or relationship with God? Like, I am in a Christian marriage, but if I'm not pursuing my own relationship and faith with Jesus, what should I realistically expect to experience in terms of agape love if the part where I'm not growing myself is happening? What should I expect?
Right. Maybe you won't recognize opportunities for growth in agape love. Maybe all you'll see is a sink full of dishes when maybe that's today's exercise in agape love.
I'm good at dishes. I'm good at them.
I think, Barry, we're going to need to pray after this pod.
Lay hands
just
on
because I
Tyler.
ask the questions don't mean they're just about me.
Just because I answer them doesn't mean they're about you either. Oh my goodness.
I am good at dishes.
But no, like we say that we want healthy marriages. Okay, like anything else, that's going to take practice.
Mhm.
And practice is not always enjoyable.
No.
It's not always fun. And you wouldn't necessarily recognize some of the opportunities that are right in front of you. I loved that the Wilsons talked about the little things.
Mhm.
It's the little things, and it's consistency in the little things
Yeah.
that has led them to this place of health. And again, they wouldn't say that they have the perfect marriage,
Right.
but it sure does seem like they have a peaceful marriage
Absolutely.
going into, what did they say, part two
Part two of
part
their,
two of their
yeah.
married lives together.
It is
but
that. Oh, go ahead.
It's about recognizing little opportunities
Yes.
to grow in your agape love.
Right. And it's that consistency, like you just said. It's like 52 dates a year. That's what I'm going to take away from their. And you know what? That's what their kids said.
Yeah.
Their kids have picked it up. That's what they were recognizing. Like 52 dates a year. That seems doable. It's like, oh, 1 date a week. That's actually a lot of work. That's a lot of commitment and energy. Now I gather, and I'd be interested to know. I think they're doing that now that their kids are grown. This is the part of their
Part two.
Part
That's
two.
right.
So I don't know that is necessarily a realistic goal for someone with toddlers, but
never mind.
You have a toddler, and it's not all about you.
I'm not talking about me. All right, this is going to sound like a really simple or like novice question, but why do we care about this? Why do we care if it seems like everybody's getting divorced or marriages are falling apart? Why do we care? Is it a moral issue? Is it a Christian issue? Do we care because it's like we see these things as immoral? Like, if you could crystallize why we care about this, what would you say?
So this, again, I'll get into in this next message, but
Good.
But I one of the sort of, I guess, biblical scaffolding around the concept of marriage is that marriage, especially in the ancient patriarchal culture of their day, marriage was a key component in all of society. Basically, marriage is the backbone of a family. Families are the backbones of a community. Communities are the backbones of a society. Societies are the backbone of humanity, right? And that's kind of how they're thought of in the biblical imagination. And then that sort of gets a little bit expanded and I would say almost blessed by Jesus and the church, where suddenly that the definitions start to get broadened, where suddenly you have widows being cared for by people that aren't their own kids, and you have orphans being adopted into new families. And so the ideas of like what defines family and community gets broadened in a beautiful way. But nevertheless, like still, to go all the way back to Genesis, the command to humans is like rule over creation, be fruitful and multiply. And the way that they are able to do both the ruling and the multiplying, the original humans, is to come together as one and have children. Like that's the next phase, is then like passing on to the next generation. And so we can't deny the fact that marriage is still, even though it looks nothing like the marriage that the biblical authors would have recognized, marriage is still a crucial part of what builds our society, what builds our church, what builds our community. Even though I'll be the first to say, you don't have to be married to be a part of the society. That's the beautiful widening of the New Testament community or the church community. But it's still a massive backbone of who we are as a community that does, build into the next generation and whatever, moves on. So all that to say, because it's such a crucial part of our community, and like we don't happen to be a church in like, I don't know, some downtown community where it's a bunch of single people. Like we've got a lot of married couples in our community. And because it's such a foundational part of so many people's lives and discipleship, as we just said, like, I don't know how we don't treat this as a significant issue, because this is a bedrock principle, not just of everybody's life, many people's lives, but also of our community as a whole. So I don't know. Thanks for coming to my TED Talk.
And how we exemplify the love of Jesus. Like, what a beautiful canvas upon which to depict the love of Jesus than in a covenant marriage. It's how we show one another love. And then we pass that love on to our children and our grandchildren. And the cycle, best case scenario, perpetuates itself in the most beautiful way, where we are exemplifying the love of Jesus in our homes, in our families, in our marriages, and we're teaching it to the subsequent generations,
Right.
and so on and so forth. Like it is the backbone of society, yeah, but it's also at the heart of what it means to show the world
Yeah.
the love of Christ.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm glad you said that, because I feel like if we get through this series and through this marriage retreat
I hope we get through it.
without kind of shouting from the mountaintops that like marriage is an opportunity, if we let it, to allow Christ to be formed in us through things like our commitment, our covenant, even our failures and our persistence. Like,
Yeah.
some of my worst marriage moments, I've got like a list of top 13.
Are we doing that next week?
Yeah, yeah. Tyler's worst marriage moments. But those are the moments where like Christ was allowed to form me.
Yeah.
I allowed, eventually came to terms with it and allowed that to happen. So if we miss an opportunity as a church, spiritual community, to shout it from the mountaintops that marriage should be a formational space where Christ is formed in us, even through our perceived failures or persistence or commitment.
Yeah.
I feel like we're missing something. So I feel like that. I'm glad you said that, because it's an opportunity to show Christ's love, but it's also an opportunity to be a better Christian.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think you hit the nail on the head with the idea of the, like, even in our failures, because I think back to my parents' marriage, and I've always respected them so deeply for how wonderful their marriage has been, through ups, through downs, through challenges. Like, and one of the things that I got to see, and this is a part of my own discipleship journey, is I got to see my parents navigate mistakes and forgiveness and grace. I mean, Dad asking me for forgiveness or asking my mom for forgiveness in a way that we were all there and we could see it happen. I'm telling you, that shaped me forever. And
out loud. He lived his faith
out loud. And I know there was tons more going on behind the scenes that I wasn't privy to. You don't do everything out loud in front of your kids, but like that I think back and I'm like, man, that's one of the things that shaped my faith more than anything else, was watching the way my parents dealt with the failures and the mistakes and their shortcomings. So
we watched your message driving home from Memphis with my 2 grown kids in the back seat and my husband and I in the front seat. And you closed your message by saying, it's time to talk about these things or whatever. And so we basically renewed our vows in the front seat with our
in
children.
Front of your kids,
with our children bearing witness. It was really cute and really funny family moment. But it reminded me of how many other times the kids were witnesses from the back seat of some of our best of times and our absolute worst. Worst.
Do you have a top
of times.
13?
I have more than 13 because I've been married longer than both of y'all. But my kids were witnesses to the best of times and the worst of times, and hopefully they are witnesses to the commitment of re-upping our commitment to self-giving love again and again and again and again.
Which is how you have to do it.
And again and again.
Right. Yeah.
This is the last question. What are entry levels of Agape? So if I'm struggling understanding how to make this a lifestyle for me, because I'm realizing I'm watching the Wilson's video, I'm listening to the sermon, and I'm like, I'm nowhere close.
Yeah, right.
Where do I begin practically? I mean, you said have the conversation, talk about it, but now we've had the conversation, and I realize that, again, this is not about me.
Sure.
But I realize I'm putting myself in the...
You're like in the dental chair today.
I'm putting myself in the position of friends of the pod when I ask these questions. So I'm realizing, I know that what I've been doing is not agape love, but I want to. So what are like entry level starting points for people like that?
Well, I've got lots of ideas, especially for the husbands, because I've done the husbands retreat before and I had a bunch of like exercises and stuff. So I'll speak. And it's only unique to husbands because men tend to have some of the same pitfalls just because of the way our brains are wired and things like that. But one of the most important things I think you can do as a man who's trying to practice self-giving love in your marriage is to simply pay attention to your spouse's desires, needs, emotional states, etc. And one of the exercises that I did, which was wonderfully surprising for some of the guys in the room when we did that husbands retreat is I said, all right, you guys have 5 minutes. I'm starting a timer, and I want you to write down every single thing you can think of that your wife likes. People that she likes hanging out with, foods that she likes to eat, movies that she likes. What do you got? Go. And they had 5 minutes, and they had to write. And the number of guys who said how shocking it was after they wrote down like soup, and then they ran out of ideas, and they were like, well, that's all I got. And so some of the guys, obviously, they know a ton of stuff, and they can pay attention.
Yeah.
And then for some of those guys, I was like, all right, if you're able to write down a bunch of things, one of the first things you can do to start practicing self-giving love is just do those things with your wife. Buy her those things. Get her those things. Carve out time for her to spend time with those people, like whatever it is, because you're paying attention to what she likes. You're serving her. And if you didn't write anything on that list and you couldn't come up with much, well, then your first step is to find out what she likes. Go ask her what her favorite people are and like that kind of thing. So
that's good.
That's really practical, and it's specifically for guys who have kind of a hard time practicing empathy. Often, we for some reason just can't seem to pay attention and enough to know exactly what's going on in our wives' lives.
Yeah, that's a great place to start. I think another easy thing would be to talk about what's going on in your spouse's life that they're stressed about. What can you pray for? How maybe you don't talk about the things that stress you out, but maybe they need to know. And maybe in that way, as you're sharing, the different things that are happening in both of your lives, you'll understand each other better and start to kind of formulate a plan about how you can support one another better in the season of life that you're in. I think there's all kinds of first steps, but just talking and listening is probably the first step.
And one of the things that I'll say is important to avoid doing, especially wives, if you're talking to your husbands, is don't start with what's wrong. Like, don't start with the problem. If you're going to have a conversation, like, find where's your common ground first, or even start. I mean, it might seem like you're buttering him up, but like, start by talking about what's going well. What do you see in your spouse that you love, or that, like, in the case of if you're talking to your husband, like, this is what I see you trying so hard in this way. I see the way that you care for our kids in this way, or whatever. And it helps the husband feel seen and not defensive. And then you can say, all right, so can we talk? Because here's what I'm feeling, and I don't want to feel this way. And I want what you do in this good way to be true in this way. Like, this is like basic conflict management stuff, but
which goes both ways.
But it goes both
basic
ways.
Conflict management stuff.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. But like, I think so often we get in the habit of just going straight for, you did it again. You always leave the something open or whatever. Yeah. And that is never going to be a recipe to harmony.
What you just described could just have easily been said husband to wife, but also parent to child.
Yeah.
I mean, this is basic conflict management stuff.
True. Yeah.
So where do we go next? We got 2 weeks left of this.
Yeah.
So what are we going to cover in the next week?
Well, so this next week, we're going to move on to verse 10. We did verse 9. We're going to do verse 10. And it's that race to the bottom. It's outdoing one another in showing honor. And I'm also going to kind of take a little detour to the Old Testament like I did this past time. I'm going to take a detour to the Old Testament, back to Genesis, like 1 through 3, to kind of talk about, like, okay, in the biblical imagination, like, how did things get here? Like, how did things get so broken, and what were they meant to be? And kind of use that as an invitation to return to Eden through Christlike love. And so, I don't know. I've got a lot to cover. It'll be fun. I wish we could spend the entire message just looking at Genesis 3. There's so much to pick apart, but we're gonna have to fly by and wave as we pass. But that's what we're talking about.
All right. My big takeaway from the pod today is I just have this image of, like, Jed's face and overlay text that's like, shoes greater than sign trip with Maron. That's my big takeaway.
And you know what? We're going to talk about it.
We'll get a report
But
back
first,
next
I'm
week.
going to say, here's what you're doing really well.
Yeah.
Now,
That's good.
let's talk about this fictional. If you had $1,000 to burn, you'd burn it on shoes.
That's so good, man. All right, next week we got David and Betsy Bell coming in. We're going to talk about, or do a deep preview, good preview on the marriage retreat coming up later this month. But for now, Maron, will you please send us out?
I will do justly, love mercy, and walk humbly with your God.
And we'll see you on the other side of Sunday.